A 17-year-old boy has been arrested over the Southport knife rampage after reportedly arriving by taxi to coincide with parents picking up their children from a Taylor Swift-themed children's workshop this morning. Armed police officers swooped on Hart Street in Merseyside at 11:50 a.m. after the stabbing spree at the sold-out children's dance, yoga and bracelet-making workshop, which was just about to finish. One child has reportedly been killed and at least 7 people were injured in the horrifying stabbing spree. Merseyside police confirmed that a 17-year-old boy from the nearby village of Banks was arrested in connection to the Southport attack and is in police custody. Detectives are still trying to establish the motive for this tragic incident, adding, "We would urge people not to speculate while the investigation is ongoing." The force said that the incident was not being treated as terror-related and that they are not looking for anyone else in connection with the incident. Mothers arriving to pick up their children at the end of the workshop were greeted with a scene that was likened to something from a horror movie as injured children were carried outside by emergency workers. Police have also cordoned off a street with officers stationed outside a house in Banks, about 3 miles from the stabbing incident. It is not yet clear if the two incidents are linked. 2 police cars are stationed, with more police vehicles and officers behind the cordon. Locals said Matrix Police, the armed unit of Merseyside Police, descended on the address shortly after the incident in Southport. Earlier today, police said a male had been arrested and a knife had been seized. The force urged people to avoid the area but said there was no wider threat to the public. The spree left 1 child dead in the quiet seaside town, the Liverpool Echo reported. Ryan Carney, who lives with his mother Haley on Hart Street, said he rushed home from work to be with her after she witnessed the terrible aftermath. He said, "She went out and there was a woman who was screaming, saying she can't find her child. They let her into the cordon and she ran down and all she could hear was screaming and crying, saying, 'That's my child. That's my child.'" There are thought to have been around 25 children aged between 6 and 11 taking part in the workshop for schoolkids in years 2 through to 6 when the horrific attack took place. Onlookers said they saw a man in a black hood arrive in a taxi with a knife before people were left on the street screaming and in tears. Locals said they saw children running from the building and assumed there had been a car accident because a vehicle was covered in blood. But they quickly realized something more sinister had occurred when they saw 7 to 10 kids who were injured and bleeding outside the nursery. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said the multiple stabbings were horrendous and deeply shocking as he thanked emergency services for their response. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said she was deeply concerned by the attack. Witness Bear Varathan, 35, who owns a corner shop on Hart Street, said he was called by a staff member who told him, "Boss, get to the shop." He said, "I saw 7 to 10 kids outside the nursery. They were injured, bleeding. They were in the road, running from the nursery. They had been stabbed, here, everywhere." Mr. Varathan indicated the neck, back and chest area. They were all aged about 10. One of them was really seriously injured. I hope they will be okay. Only 2 police jeeps and ambulances arrived, then armed police came and took him out of the nursery. Somebody told me he had arrived in a taxi and had a knife. One resident, who lives on Hart Street but did not want to be named, said he was at home about midday when a woman pulled up outside in her car, screaming. He said, "She was screaming, 'My daughter's been stabbed.'" The woman was in hysterics. Then 2 police cars rushed up the street the other way. It was a mum with her 10-year-old daughter who had been stabbed. I helped to get her back up to where the police cars and ambulances were. She didn't look great, but my focus was on getting her back up the street to get help. When I got back up the street, there were a couple of kids on the floor being seen to by paramedics, and, as I came back, more police cars were going down and more ambulances gradually started to arrive. A BBC reporter at the scene described one girl on a stretcher covered in blood with her parents running after her. The victims have been taken to Alder Hey Children's Hospital, Aintree University Hospital and Southport and Formby Hospital. A staff member at the Heart Space, who wanted to remain anonymous, said she had heard the suspect was wearing a black hood when he reportedly stabbed multiple children. They said, "There were probably 25 children there because that's the max we have there, and they had reached the max. I don't even know if the teachers are okay. They posted the other day that they were full for this Taylor Swift holiday club this morning. When I got there, there was a guy who was absolutely distraught, in a mess. Had seen 2 children run out of the Heart Space, and he thought they had got hit by a car because the car was just full of blood at the side of the car. But it was actually that the children who had been stabbed had fallen into the car. It was apparently a guy with a black hooded top on, but he's been arrested." A local business owner, who was one of the people who called the police, said the incident in Southport was like a scene in a horror movie. Colin Perry, owner of Masters Vehicle Body Repairs on Hart Street, said he believed 6 or 7 young girls had been stabbed. He said, "The mothers are coming here now and screaming. It is like a scene from a horror movie. Police have got him. It's like something from America, not like sunny Southport." A staff member at the Bridge Cafe on Hart Street told Mail Online, "We were told somebody's been stabbing children. It's chock-a. It's all cordoned off, police cars at every junction. Parents are stood outside waiting." A local resident said she left work immediately to check on her daughters when she heard news of the attack, adding that parents have been checking in with one another. Joanne Newman told BBC News, "I got a call from a very, very good friend of mine. I was in work completely oblivious to it, and as soon as she told me I literally ran out of work. I don't know how I managed to drive back, to be fair. My priority was just my girls, my girls, my girls. I knew my eldest daughter was taking her to a friend's house, and I am just so thankful to God that they're safe." She continued, "Nobody can believe it, all the local mums have checked in with one another. I am sure we're all going to know somebody from that poor group. But the parents I checked in on, my girls and I just ran to the crowd because I just thought, you put your NHS head on, don't you? The mother that I was just consoling, just the look on her face because she knew something had happened to her child, it's like, oh my gosh, how do you even comprehend? There's nothing you can do." Ms. Newman said her elder daughter, who had been taking her younger sister to a friend's house, heard a sinister scream around the same time of the stabbing. She told BBC News, "She said she heard quite a sinister scream and literally got back from taking my daughter. We don't know roughly what time it was, but it was similar timing, and then all the commotion had gone on, so looking back at the timescales that potentially could have been. But she said it was a very untoward, unusual scream, so we don't know." A large police cordon has been put up around the building, with police officers guarding either end. Officers and vehicles can be seen from a distance inside the cordon, including scenes of crime officers in white boiler suits. Dozens of police cars, vans, fire engines and ambulances are also assembled a short distance away at a local school. Steve Rotherham, mayor of Liverpool City Region, says he is deeply concerned by the incident. "I have been in contact with the police and am being kept updated on the situation," he says in a social media post. He urges the public to wait for official updates and to not spread unconfirmed speculation and false information. College of Policing Chief Constable Sir Andy Marsh said his thoughts are with everyone affected. "My thoughts this afternoon are with everyone affected by the horrific and deeply distressing incident in Southport," Mr. Marsh said on X. "I am grateful to the police officers and other emergency services responding.